After I installed security cameras, my neighbor complained it invaded her privacy. I refused to remove them. Days later, I came home to find the cameras gone and my front door smashed. She walked by and said, "Now you know what exposure feels like." I reported it, but the footage was deleted. Except for one clip still backed up that showed. I'm a 42-year-old guy living in Spokane, Washington. Got divorced in 2019, packed up what I had left, and bought a small 2-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. It was supposed to be a new start. I've got a solid job doing remote IT work and a rescue dog named Scout. He's a mutt, loud bark, but sweet as hell. Things were fine for the first few years. The neighbors mostly kept to themselves. I wasn't looking to make friends. Just wanted quiet, space, and to be left alone. Then Beverly moved in. She bought the house right next door after her husband died. At first, I felt sorry for her. She looked tired, a little bitter, maybe lonely. I brought over some coffee and muffins one morning when she first moved in. She looked at me like I'd handed her dog crap on a plate. "No thanks," she said, and shut the door. "Okay, fine. I can take a hint." I figured she'd chill out once she settled in. But the opposite happened. The first complaint was about Scout barking. Then it was about my grass being too long. Then she said my trash bins were blocking her aura. I laughed at that one. I thought maybe she was just weird. But it got serious after I installed the cameras. I'd been thinking about it for a while. A few houses nearby had been broken into, and with me traveling for work sometimes, I didn't want to take chances. So I hired a guy to install 2 security cams, one pointing at my front door and driveway, and another facing the backyard and shed. I didn't think anyone would care. I wasn't pointing them at anyone else's house. The day after installation, I found Beverly standing at the edge of my lawn with her arms crossed. "You need to take those cameras down," she said. I was polite at first. "They're for my protection. They only record my property. They make me feel watched," she said. "It's a violation of my privacy." "They're not pointed at you, Beverly," I said. "They're legal." I checked. Her face changed. She looked disgusted. "You're one of those neighbors." I just went inside. I didn't have time for it. But from then on, she looked at me like I was some pervert hiding behind the curtains. She started walking slower past my house, staring at the cameras, shaking her head. 3 days later, I came home from work and thought I'd been robbed. My front door was smashed. Frame cracked clean through. The living room looked like it had been hit by a tornado. Couch cushions everywhere, drawers pulled out, papers thrown all over the floor. Scout was cowering under the table. The cameras? Gone. The one on the front porch was ripped out, wires dangling. The one in the backyard was completely missing, just a blank metal plate left on the wall. I called the police right away. They showed up about 20 minutes later. One officer took photos. Another asked questions. I walked them through everything. I said I suspected my neighbor had something to do with it. I told them she'd been angry about the cameras. I repeated what she said. "You'll regret that." They wrote it down, but didn't seem too interested. Said they'd file a report and look into it. Right as they were wrapping up, Beverly walked by. Real casual. Hands behind her back. She looked at the busted door, then at me. She smiled and said, "Now you know what exposure feels like." Then she just kept walking. I was stunned. I told the cops what she said. One of them raised an eyebrow. "That true?" he asked. "Word for word," I said. They shrugged. "We'll include it. Can't really do much unless we catch her in the act." I figured fine. I'll give them the footage. I opened my laptop and logged into my cloud storage account. Nothing. All the videos from the past 3 days, gone. Completely deleted. Not just from the camera feed, but from the cloud. I felt sick. Someone had gotten into my account. I thought maybe I screwed up a setting. but I dug deeper. That's when I remembered, during setup, I had connected one of the cameras to a backup folder on my work laptop. Just for testing. And by some miracle, one clip had saved there. It was short. About 19 seconds. Timestamped at 2:17 a.m., 2 nights before the break-in. It showed motion in the backyard. The floodlight snapped on, and there she was. Beverly. Wearing a dark hoodie, gloves, holding bolt cutters. She looked right at the camera for half a second, then climbed onto a bucket and reached for it. Then static. The feed cut out. That was it. But it was something. I copied it onto a USB drive and gave it to the police the next morning. The detective I met with, Detective Hart, said it helped, but wasn't conclusive. Said they'd look into it. Weeks passed. Nothing. I kept following up. Leaving voicemails. I even stopped by the station once. Always the same line. We're reviewing it. We'll let you know. Meanwhile, Beverly got worse. She started putting her trash bins in the middle of my driveway. She once dumped bird seed all over my lawn and said she was feeding nature. Then came the sign. One morning, I stepped outside and saw her holding a cardboard sign. She stood on the sidewalk in front of her house for a full hour. It said, "Creep next door films women." I lost it. I called the cops again. They sent someone out, but they told me she wasn't breaking any laws. She's on her property, they said. It's a free speech issue. I wanted to scream. Instead, I installed better cameras. This time I didn't just replace what I had, I upgraded everything. I put a camera inside the porch light, another hidden inside a birdhouse in the backyard. I swapped the old doorbell with a ring, and set all footage to back up in 3 places: a hard drive inside my house, a remote cloud folder I owned, and a work-based encrypted backup. I didn't tell anyone. I just waited. 2 months later, I caught her again. It was 2:04 a.m. I was awake because Scout had growled low and quiet. I checked my phone and saw motion had been detected in the backyard. I opened the feed. There she was. Beverly, wearing black again. Holding a crowbar. This time, she walked straight to the fake camera I'd installed where the old one used to be. She stared at it for a minute, then moved toward the shed. I called 911 on the spot. They caught her red-handed, still in my backyard. She tried to scream harassment. Said I was stalking her. That I had tricked her. She accused me of setting traps. But I had everything on video. They arrested her that night. Breaking and entering. Trespassing. Attempted vandalism. The detective finally took the older footage seriously too, and included that in the report. Still, she didn't stop. While she was out on bail, she filed a restraining order against me. Said I was recording her private life and making her feel unsafe. And she filed more complaints with the HOA. Said my lawn was overgrown. Said Scout was vicious. Said my backyard shed was a fire hazard. It was insane. I hired a lawyer. We filed a counter-restraining order. Presented the full video timeline. Showed evidence of harassment, vandalism, and police reports. The judge reviewed everything. At the hearing, Beverly stood up and cried. Said I had violated her peace and tormented a grieving widow. She even said I installed cameras just to spy on her. Then my lawyer hit play. Video after video. Every lie she told got torn down. She went pale. Didn't say another word. The judge granted my order. Denied hers. Ordered her to stay 100 feet away and pay partial restitution for the damage. But that still wasn't enough. Even with the restraining order in place, Beverly didn't back off. She couldn't come near my house, but she found other ways to get under my skin. She started going door to door in the neighborhood, talking to anyone who'd listen. I caught pieces of what she was saying when I walked Scout around the block. He's a predator, I heard her tell one neighbor. He watches women through those cameras. He's got hidden mics, too. I've seen them. At first, people just nodded politely. But then one guy, Jim, from across the street, started acting weird around me. Wouldn't return my waves. His wife pulled their kids inside whenever I came out. The rumors were working. A few weeks later, I got a notice taped to my door. The HOA was investigating me for unauthorized surveillance equipment and community disruption. I knew exactly where it came from. I brought the documents and the police reports to the next HOA meeting. I didn't want to show up, but I had no choice. If I stayed quiet, she'd win. The room was packed. Beverly was there, sitting in the front row, wearing all white like she was going to church. She smiled at me the whole time. I spoke calmly, showed my permits, played a few short clips of what she'd done to me, explained the restraining order, laid out the timeline. I saw faces shift in the room. Some looked shocked. Others looked embarrassed. A few older couples even nodded at me like they finally understood. When it was Beverly's turn to speak, she stood up and called it all a deepfake conspiracy. I know what I saw, she said. I know what he's doing. I don't care what the tape says. That man is dangerous. The HOA board sided with me. They dropped the investigation, but warned that ongoing neighbor disputes could be grounds for community mediation. I was drained. But I thought maybe, this would finally shut her down. I was wrong. A month after the HOA meeting, I left town for work. Just a quick overnight trip to Seattle. I made sure everything was locked. Cameras on. Backup systems running. Scout was at a kennel. The next morning, I got an alert. Motion detected at 3:42 a.m. I logged into the camera feed on my phone. The backyard light was on. A figure moved past the shed. But it wasn't Beverly. It was a man. Tall, thin, hoodie pulled over his head. He walked with a limp. I watched as he circled the shed, pulled on the lock, then turned and walked up to the porch. He stood there for a full minute, looking right into the Ring camera. Then he flipped it off and walked away. I checked the other cameras. Nothing else. He never came inside. But he was there. I called the cops again. Filed a report. I sent them the footage. 2 days later, I got a call from Detective Hart. We recognize the guy, he said. Name's Daryl Cooper. Small-time vandal. Has a record. Been picked up for trespassing before. So why was he on my property? I asked. That's the thing, Hart said. He's not from your area. Lives out near Post Falls. When we asked him what he was doing in your yard, he said someone paid him. I felt a chill go down my spine. Paid him? I asked. Yep, Hart said. Said a lady gave him $200 to mess with your shed. Said she told him there was a camera and to give it the finger. I didn't even have to ask who. But when I pressed for charges, Hart said the guy didn't know her name. Only that she was older, gray hair, wore a green jacket, smelled like cigarettes. Same description Beverly fit to AT. But with no proof, no name, no payment records, they couldn't tie it to her. This wasn't just about cameras anymore. She was escalating. I stopped sleeping. Every bump at night made me reach for my phone. Scout started pacing more, whining at windows. I had to put blackout curtains up just so I wouldn't see her watching from her window with binoculars. Yes. Binoculars. One morning I caught her doing it. I was sipping coffee in my living room when I looked out and saw her in the upstairs window, holding binoculars and pointing them toward my house. I recorded it. Added it to the growing file. My lawyer started prepping a civil harassment suit. Said we'd go beyond property damage this time. Said we'd go after her for defamation, emotional distress, and coordinated harassment. But then things got worse. Way worse. Someone created a fake Facebook profile using my name and photo. The posts were disturbing. Comments about watching neighbors, loving control, and one that said, "I always know when you're home." I only found out because a coworker messaged me in shock. "Dude, what the hell is this?" I reported it right away. Facebook took it down in 2 days. But the damage was done. I don't know how many people saw it. I had a new nightmare now. Someone was trying to ruin my reputation from the shadows. And I had a good guess who was behind it. But I had no proof. Not yet. So I started collecting everything. Screenshots. Emails. Photos of Beverly standing on the sidewalk, holding her signs. Audio of her telling neighbors lies about me. I used my phone's recorder app while walking scout. Even kept a journal of every weird event, every trespass, every strange interaction with neighbors. It was all building towards something. I could feel it. But I didn't know the full truth. Not until I got a knock on my door one evening from someone I never expected. It was Beverly's daughter. She looked to be in her late 30s. Nervous. Holding her car keys like she was ready to run. "I'm not here to cause trouble," she said. "I just want to talk." I didn't know what to say. I let her in. She sat at the edge of my couch, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "I think my mother is trying to destroy your life. And I think she's done this before." I stared at Beverly's daughter. My mind was racing. "What do you mean, she's done this before?" I asked. She looked around the room, uneasy. Like she expected her mother to jump out of a corner. "My name's Morgan," she said quietly. "I don't live here. I'm in Boise. I only come up a couple times a year. But my cousin told me what's been going on, how people in the neighborhood are talking. I figured it was my mom's doing." I didn't say anything. I wanted to hear it all. She took a shaky breath. "Look, my mom's always been intense. Controlling. But after my dad died, she got worse. It's like she needs someone to fight with. She picks a target and makes them the enemy. There was this couple in her last neighborhood in Coeur d'Alene. She claimed they were spying on her. She started calling the cops every other week. Then someone threw eggs at their house. Their cat went missing. Nobody could prove anything, but she didn't finish. I felt sick." "You think she did it?" "I know she did," Morgan said. "And when they finally put up cameras, she moved out within 3 months." Everything started clicking in my head. This wasn't just about me. This was a pattern. I asked, "Why are you telling me now?" Morgan looked down at her hands. "Because she's not going to stop. And because I saw something on her laptop. She left it open last week when I stopped by. She was logged into a fake Facebook account. The name was Thomas Klein. There was a photo of you. That same creepy post everyone was talking about." I leaned forward. "You're sure it was her?" "Yes," she said. And there was more. A file on her desktop. It was named Justification. I opened it. It was like a manifesto. Rants about invasion of space, and how no one believed her, and pages of tight notes about you. Like detailed stuff. Your routines. What time you leave for work. What you wear. When you walk your dog. It felt like the room dropped 10 degrees. "She's watching me like I'm the criminal," I muttered. Morgan nodded. "I think she's trying to push you into doing something. Losing your temper. Or breaking a law. Then she'd say, 'See? I was right. That's what she does. She twists it.'" I didn't know what to do with all of it. I asked Morgan if she could send me proof. Screenshots. Anything. She agreed. Said she'd come back in a couple days with a USB drive. She left, and I just sat there for a long time, Scout resting his head on my knee, completely still. I felt violated in a way I couldn't explain. It wasn't just cameras being ripped off the wall anymore. It was my life being twisted into some story I had no control over. 2 days later, Morgan came back. She handed me the USB. She looked tired. Pale. "She knows I saw her laptop," she said. "She's not saying anything, but she knows." I don't know what she's going to do. Just be careful. I opened the files on my laptop after she left. Dozens of screenshots. The fake Facebook page. My photo cropped from my work website. Posts written in a voice that sounded like a mix of a teenager and a stalker. There was also a scanned letter addressed to the HOA. Never sent, but she had written it. A full page of lies. Accusing me of flashing lights into her windows, of recording her undressing, of inviting strange women to my home and spreading immoral influence. None of it was real. And then, the document called justification.pdf. It was 17 pages long. Page 1. They all think I'm crazy. But I see the truth. Page 4. He wants to control the neighborhood. The dog is a threat. His cameras are like claws in the walls. Page 12. If no one else will act, I will. I stopped reading. I printed out the whole thing. Made copies. One for my lawyer, one for the police, one I kept locked in my desk. I called Detective Hart again. Told him I had new evidence. Hard evidence. He came by 2 days later and looked through the files. I handed him the USB. When he finished skimming it, he rubbed his eyes. She's not just messing with you, he said. This is obsessive behavior. Dangerous. I asked what he could do. He said he'd submit it to the DA. That maybe now they pursue criminal charges beyond trespassing. That was 2 weeks ago. And then, something else happened. I came home one afternoon and noticed the backyard gate was open again. I always kept it locked. Always. I checked the cameras. All seemed fine. But when I walked around to the shed, I found something lying on the ground. A dead crow. Just sitting there, wings stretched out, eyes pecked out. At first, I thought maybe it was just nature. But then I saw the note. It was tucked under the wing. In shaky handwriting it said, "The eye is blind." I stood there for a long time. I didn't touch the note. I took photos. Called the police again. They sent someone out, but said without fingerprints or footage of it being placed, there wasn't much they could do. I knew who left it. But I couldn't prove it. I started sleeping with a baseball bat under my bed. I changed all my passwords. Bought a second safe. Talked to my boss about taking a leave of absence if things got worse. I thought it had reached its peak. But the final blow was still coming. And it was going to be public. Because the next time I saw Beverly, truly saw her, was when she marched into a community meeting, demanded the floor, and accused me of sexually harassing her through surveillance and mental manipulation. And this time, she brought a lawyer. I was sitting near the back at the monthly community meeting when it happened. Same library room we always used. About 20 neighbors, a folding table at the front, coffee and cookies no one touched. Beverly walked in wearing a bright red coat. She had papers in her hand, and a man in a cheap suit followed her. He looked nervous, like he didn't want to be there. She went straight to the front table. "I have a statement," she said loudly. "And legal counsel." People turned in their seats. Some groaned. Everyone knew this wasn't going to be quick. The HOA president, a guy named Chuck who just wanted to get home, sighed and said, "You've got 5 minutes, Beverly." "That's it." She held up her papers. "I am the victim of a sick, perverted campaign of harassment by the man who lives at 1423 Elm Drive. I have proof. I have been recorded, followed, mocked, violated in my own home. And now that I'm seeking justice, he's making me look unstable." She pointed straight at me. "He hacked into my computer. He's stolen my files. He's threatened me with legal action and posted things about me online." I didn't say anything. I didn't even look at her. I let her talk. Her lawyer stepped up and handed out folders. Inside were copies of her fake documents. Screenshots of the Facebook page she created. Fake Photoshop text messages. A made-up timeline of incidents that never happened. I knew exactly what she was doing. She was going all in. trying to bury me before I could strike back. But what she didn't know was that I had spent the last 2 weeks preparing. Because after she dropped that dead crow in my yard, I finally went on offense. I filed an injunction for stalking and defamation. With Morgan's help, we turned over her laptop data to the authorities. And the police had finally traced the fake Facebook page back to the IP address from Beverly's own Wi-Fi. The DA's office picked it up. And best of all, the meeting that night was being recorded. By the HOA itself. Something they started doing after a previous neighbor dispute blew up months earlier. All footage was automatically uploaded to a private drive. So everything she was saying, every lie, every fake accusation, every proof she submitted, was on video. And her lawyer? Wasn't even a real lawyer. Just a notary with a badge and a suit. Someone she paid to stand beside her. After her rant, Chuck looked at me. Do you want to respond? I stood up. Pulled out a manila envelope from my bag. I do, I said. And I handed copies of my own to every board member. Inside, a signed affidavit from Morgan, screenshots of the Facebook profile traced to Beverly's IP video footage of her breaking into my yard, vandalizing property, a copy of the police report tied to Darryl Cooper, the man she hired, the entire justification document. She had typed a screenshot from the spyware log that showed her logging into the fake account, and then I played a short video. It showed Beverly, in her backyard, holding bolt cutters, looking into the camera. She told the police this never happened, I said. She said I forged it. That's a lie. And the police confirmed the footage's authenticity. People started shifting. Whispering. Chuck cleared his throat. Is this part of an active investigation? Yes, I said. As of yesterday, the county prosecutor has officially filed charges. I looked at Beverly. Her face had gone white. Her fake lawyer turned and walked out. And then the police walked in. 2 officers. Quiet. Calm. Beverly and Gaskins? One of them said. She didn't answer. You're under arrest for stalking, harassment, filing false police reports, trespassing, conspiracy to commit vandalism, and possession of falsified records. No, she whispered. He's lying. He's lying. They cuffed her right there in the middle of the room. Neighbors gasped. One woman covered her mouth. Another man stood up and said, Jesus Christ. She screamed as they walked her out. He's the criminal. He's the one. He hacked me. You'll see. You'll all see. I sat back down. I didn't say a word. It was over. What happened after? The trial took about 4 months. I testified. Morgan testified. Beverly's defense was a disaster. Her own daughter had turned against her. The police had digital proof of everything. She was found guilty on multiple counts. She didn't go to jail, but she got a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation and was put under mandatory supervision. She lost her house. Had to pay me nearly $42,000 in damages and legal fees. Sold everything. Moved out of state with a court guardian. The HOA sent out a letter apologizing for not believing me sooner. 3 neighbors personally knocked on my door to say sorry. And me? I replaced all the cameras one last time with top-tier gear. Bought Scout a brand new heated dog bed. Took a week off work and just sat in peace. Quiet. Still. No one watched me from a window. No one walked by with a smirk. And that dead crow? I had it cremated. Put the ashes under the new hydrangeas I planted out back. Called it closure. This wasn't the revenge I planned. But it was the justice I needed. And it was final.